Hello, my friends. I am B, and this is B's Intuition. Today, we're going to do a reading. I thought it'd be nice to just do a simple secret admirer reading. Um, yeah, yeah. Let's just keep it at that. Keep it simple, and we'll explore like who's secretly admiring you. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Please and thank you, Spirit. Who's secretly admiring the collective? Please and thank you, Spirit. I don't know why I'm using this voice for it. Who's secretly admiring the collective? Please and thank you, Spirit. A decent amount already came out. Okay. Ooh, interesting. I think that was meant to come out in the reverse. Did that come out before these or after? I think after. Okay. So we have the Four of Cups. And then we have the Two of Cups. Very cute. Very fitting. And then we have the Knight of Cups, also very fitting. We have the Five of Wands in the reverse. Interesting. And then we have the King of Pentacles. That's good. And then bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Wands. Very beautiful. Let's explore, shall we? Starting with that Four of Cups. Please and thank you, Spirit. Can you clarify that Four of Cups for us as to who is secretly admiring the collective? With that Four of Cups energy, please and thank you, Spirit. Who is this? Okay, I don't know why, but I just got the word Virgo in my brain. I don't know where that came from. It could be a Virgo, I guess. Maybe because Virgos have really high standards or something like that. Who is this? Please and thank you, Spirit, that's secretly admiring the collective. Okay. Oh, how interesting. Okay, so that Four of Cups was clarified by the Three of Pentacles. This could be somebody that you work with. Ace of Pentacles. The Moon card. And then we have the Empress. And then the Seven of Pentacles came out like that. And then bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Cups. Yeah, beautiful energy. Okay, so the Moon card. I feel like that's pretty fitting for the theme, which is secret admirer, right? Because like if they're a secret admirer, they're probably not very open about it. But they know you through work in some or to some extent. You don't even have to be coworkers necessarily. It's like one or the other of you know each other through your work. You know, it could be even something so simple as like you work at a store. This is somebody that comes in from time to time or pretty regularly. But it's interesting because the Moon card, and then that's followed by the Empress. And to me, that almost gives this energy of this person's trying to hide how they view you, which is the Empress. They see you as incredibly powerful and abundant and radiant. You have a lot of things going for you. The Four of Cups that we're clarifying, though, this almost feels like, to me, this person could idealize you or idolize you. But it feels like the ego is at play to some extent, and not necessarily in the way, not in a toxic way, but rather like this could be somebody that thinks that you're out of their league, or they could feel They could feel like maybe it's even inappropriate to have these sort of feelings for you. The Empress, I mean, that would be probably the ideal partner. You're very multifaceted, and so maybe this is somebody that thinks like you're so great you must have like a million people lined up waiting to date you or something. Um, it almost even feels like to me, with that Four of Cups that we're clarifying, it feels like this is somebody who might have established boundaries within love to themselves. And I get this in the regard of like, maybe this is somebody that gave up on love, or they were like, okay, I'm going to go into a period of isolation, which kind of goes with the Virgo message I was getting earlier. The Empress can represent Taurus and Libra. Interesting that the Seven of Pentacles came out like this, because I read this sideways cards a little differently. If it comes out in this direction, I see that as a really positive thing. And so it feels like to me this is somebody that's putting the effort into this Seven of Pentacles energy of like waiting to see how this plays out. Because it's like, for some reason, yeah, it feels like there's some sort of prior engagement to some extent where you already have an investment going on, but it's probably professional only. And they may feel uncomfortable to express their feelings at this point. It could be very new because of the Ace of Pentacles. A new arrangement, like a new collaboration, work project, projects in general. So instead of expressing themselves, they feel like the best thing to do is to see how it naturally evolves and grows, and if it builds to anything specific in terms of love. It is like the Moon card with the Empress could also be an indication that this is somebody that probably has a lot of feelings for you. They may even be slightly overwhelmed by your presence, but they want to keep that hidden as much as possible. Because, yeah, it feels like this could be somebody that takes their job very seriously or their role very seriously, even if it's not like a career or job environment. Maybe the two of you are simply acquaintances and they feel like, well, it's not appropriate to assert these feelings, or at least not yet. But the ego part I was getting is like either this is somebody that may be insecure and they may think that you're way out of their league. But the other ego part that I'm getting is like, because they sort of made a promise with themselves of like, I'm going to be single for X amount of time before I become interested in somebody else and pursue them romantically. So it's almost like a conflict of interest within them. And I feel like that could be playing a part here. It's almost like their ego is saying, you know, this isn't the right time. We already agreed that, we're going to be single for X amount of time. This person's kind of putting a wrench into our plans here if we decide to explore it romantically. And it does kind of give this energy of like sort of jumping the gun to some extent, because it may be a new or relatively new person in your life. Or maybe it's somebody that you just know as a friend or acquaintance and it hasn't really built to anything yet. But this person already feels pretty overwhelmed with feelings for you and they see you in a very high light here. But yeah, it feels like their plan here is to kind of let this unravel naturally, see what direction it naturally sort of takes and then go according to that. Especially once they have more established, I feel, some sort of foundation or at least some sort of sense of understanding of you Because it could even be something like that where they've jumped the gun in the past and it didn't serve them. They may have jumped into relationships. So, yeah, this could have been somebody from the past, or not from the past. This could have been somebody that in the past they jumped the gun and didn't and got into relationships with people that they didn't really know super well. And it could have, you know, well, clearly, if they made that sort of promise with themselves internally of like, okay, we need to take X amount of time to be single or X amount of time to work on ourselves, it must have been something that left some sort of mark, I would say. Interesting that at the bottom of the deck is the Six of Cups, because the Six of Cups has to do with nostalgia and like memories. You could remind this person of somebody that they knew in their childhood. Because again, I don't really feel like the two of you know each other that well yet. They may even think that they're looking at you with rose colored glasses, and that could be another thing of like why they're waiting to see how things go, because maybe they're aware of like, okay, I'm sort of infatuated with the collective, but maybe I need to take my time and kind of be patient with this process so that I can naturally understand this person before just jumping into something here. But the Six of Cups, it almost even gives me this feeling of like you being very memorable. You may show up in a very kind energy, in a very giving energy. Oh, I'm also getting that maybe their inner child. Their inner child may feel safe with you, or they may feel like a kindred spirit sort of energy where it's like maybe this person at one point in their life also gave a lot, showed up in a very loving energy, but maybe it didn't work out for this person. But it feels like, yeah, like even if the two of you haven't really known each other that long, it feels like anytime they think of you, they have really good memories of you already. And so maybe that's another part of like, okay, this kind of indicates that I'm pretty deep into this emotionally. But again, the rose colored glasses could be playing a part here where it's like they've only seen you maybe in a specific environment under specific circumstances. And so maybe they're trying to kind of reason with themselves like, okay, like just because every time I speak to them, they're very nice to me, maybe that's just because we're working together or whatever. This feels like somebody that is very well balanced in terms of like the practical as well as the emotional. And I feel like they're very good at like kind of trying to keep those two balanced. So I kind of like this energy. Seems very mature and responsible. Um, Six of Cups. Let's see what's underneath that. Page of Wands. They feel smaller than you in some way. You know, it could simply be an age difference where they see you as like maybe you're a little bit older than this person, or they feel like inexperienced. Like they're very excited here, optimistic about what could be, but they play down themselves compared to you because, like, comparing the Empress to the Page of Wands, that's a pretty significant difference there. But again, it could be age difference. I don't really get it in terms of a maturity level, though. Also, I sometimes see the Page of Wands as like the energy one would embody after going through some sort of regeneration or transformation, especially spiritually. And maybe upon reflection, they're excited about this, where this will go in the future. So it's like they're open-minded and they're hopeful. Um, but yeah, it's like they're open-minded to it. They're excited and hopeful about like the possibilities. But they're also tempering that to try and be reasonable, balanced, not completely in their emotion, which I think is a smart thing to do. I'm curious what's underneath that page of wands. The Four of Cups. That's pretty funny because we're clarifying the Four of Cups. So yeah, this person is very selective. That could be a whole nother thing too, is like maybe they're so picky when it comes to their partners. And when I say picky, that doesn't mean like in a negative way. I think it's really good to have standards when it comes to people you're dating. I think it's healthy to have standards, at least to some extent, within reason. Um, yeah, maybe this is even somebody that like likes to think things through very thoroughly. And so they may be very specific with the types of people they date. And I feel like there's a sense of confusion because it's like, it almost feels like with the Four of Cups being that prevalent, it almost feels like they may be reconsidering their boundaries that they made with themselves in terms of love. So if they were going to wait X amount of time before opening up again, um, yeah, they may be reconsidering that. They also may be impressed with the quickness in which you impress them, especially if they're picky, because it's like, okay, I'm really picky. I have high standards. I establish these boundaries within myself, but here comes the collective, and I want to undo all of that. And so maybe this is like kind of causing them to reflect and try to be logical, reasonable, practical. Yeah. Okay. I honestly like that energy. It feels very responsible. And if you're somebody with high standards too, the two of you could be a good match in that regard. You'll definitely know that you picked each other, right? When you have that high of standards, it won't just be happening out of, chance alone. It won't be impulsive like that. Yeah, okay. Let's go on to the Two of Cups now. Please and thank you, Spirit. Who is this secretly admiring the collective with that Two of Cups energy? Please and thank you, Spirit. Please and thank you. Who's that Two of Cups energy? Jeez Louise. What the heck? What the flip-flapping heck going on here? Okay. So, Two of Cups clarified by the Chariot. Strength card. Five of Pentacles. Death. Wheel of Fortune. 10 of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Swords. How interesting. So clearly this is somebody that has some big feelings for you. They may even feel slightly impulsive, but they're keeping that impulsivity at bay with that Strength card, because it's like the Chariot, which feels more so like, let's put our foot on the gas, whereas Strength is like, no, 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 we need to be patient with this process. So let's put on the brakes, perhaps. Or it may take a lot of courage for them to go towards you, to express themselves. The Chariot is also about like overcoming obstacles. Strength is like finding that inner strength. Feels like if there is obstacles, it probably has something to do with this Five of Pentacles here. Somebody's going through a difficult time, perhaps, or they're feeling very low about themselves, lacking some sort of confidence, or feeling just a lack mindset in general. But then that's followed by the Death card, which would be that coming to an end or transforming. Oh, I'm starting to connect the dots. Okay, so maybe it could be that you came into this person's life very unexpectedly. With that Chariot energy, you came in very enthusiastically. The Strength card, you could be a very intense sort of energy, big personality kind of energy. Because the Chariot is Cancer, Strength is Leo. We have Death card, Scorpio, Wheel of Fortune. I think that's fixed signs. So that would be Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio. Interesting. Because it almost feels like you came into this person's life when they were at a very low point. And then the Death card, so that you transformed that sense of lack, the sense of maybe being out in the cold, not really having anyone to support you or them in this case. And then after that Death card is the Wheel of Fortune and Ten of Cups. They could feel like you are divinely guided to them, or like you're a blessing from above, because it's like, what, how would you, yeah, like how would you come in at the exact moment that I'm struggling and then suddenly my life turns around? It's almost like they're connecting the dots of your connection, like that's got to mean something here. And the Ten of Cups, they could be thinking like, damn, this person is whole marriage material, or family building material. This person could make me happy for the rest of my life, pretty much. Ten of Cups. They could feel like it's reciprocal too. So there is an aspect here with that Two of Cups that we're clarifying, that they may feel like you have feelings for them too. Somehow they feel this. Well, the Chariot and Strength card, Cancer and Leo. Cancer, more emotional, but not super emotionally vulnerable most of the time. Some cancers are different. Um, and then Leo, I tend to think of Leos as being quite boisterous and proud, and like, somebody that would love you out loud. So maybe there's something in that. Or maybe the Two of Cups could be indicating that at the very least, they think that the two of you would be quite compatible with one another. So even if they feel like you don't reciprocate the feelings yet, they could feel like this has some sort of significance here. It really does feel like the stars aligned to bring the two of you together. And it feels like the intensity in which you entered this person's life was so unexpected, so sudden, but it feels like it was so necessary at the time that you came in to their life. With the Five of Pentacles, maybe they even experienced some sort of loss before you came into their life. I keep getting the phrase like a bat out of hell. I don't know why. That keeps popping up in the back of my mind. So I feel like I should say that. Also, there's something about you like fireworks, maybe like a firecracker. They think that that's your kind of personality. The Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck is very interesting. But with the context of like you coming into this person's life suddenly, they may have experienced some sort of loss before you came in, and now they're starting to think more optimistically about the future. The Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck could be like their fear here. Is that like maybe you're not who you appear to be, and that could be linked to that Five of Pentacles experience that put them in that situation. So they could have had some sort of loss in love, but it may have even affected them financially. And also, like, if you're with somebody for a long amount of time or you live with somebody, there are those sort of complications that you don't really foresee too often, um, until it happens, where it's like, okay, this affects me financially, this breakup or separation. But it feels like they could have experienced somebody that was deceptive. Interesting. It feels almost like you came out of nowhere, but maybe this ending with this person came out of nowhere for this person. Okay, I have to maybe clarify who I'm talking about. So, this secret admirer of yours may have dealt with somebody very deceptive, and maybe they felt like the ending that happened with their, I'll just say ex. Yeah, I'll just say ex. The separation with their ex may have happened really suddenly, and maybe that was due to some sort of deception or withholding of some sort of truth, or maybe straight up lying. And so it's almost like you could potentially be triggering this person at the same time that you're inspiring hope and love. Wow. I feel like my intuitive downloads have been getting so strong recently. I don't know what is going on, in the astrological realm up there in the stars, but I feel like it's been like so clear recently. I'm glad because I like it when it flows smoothly like this because it feels like a complete storyline here that we're working with. We're seeing a three-dimensional person. It's complex, just like humans. Um, let's see what's underneath that Seven of Swords. Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands. They're definitely daydreaming about you and what this could be. You may inspire them creatively. Maybe you're creative and it inspires this person to be more creative in their own life. There could also be an aspect of that Ace of Wands that could be, um, well, there's always the undertone of being very schmexually attracted to you, which I think could definitely be a thing here, but it doesn't feel like it's their only feeling towards you. In fact, it feels like the attraction, physical attraction, is almost minor in comparison to all of these big feelings that they have for you. Not to say that they're not attracted to you, I think they definitely are. But it's like there's so many other qualities to love about you that they don't really focus too much on that, which I like. It feels like this is somebody that sees you as a full person, not just like an object or something temporary. This could also be somebody that thinks long term. And so maybe that's kind of part of this is like they don't like short term arrangements. And especially if they experience some sort of trauma like that, of like a sudden end to a relationship that they thought was going well. Ooh, that feels rough. Yeah, it almost feels like that Five of Pentacles is talking to me about feeling caught off guard by an ending. It's like, damn, I thought we were doing good. That kind of breaks my heart a little bit for this person. But the Ace of Wands gives me this sense of like dreaming about this, but also wanting to explore your mind a little bit more. Maybe they really like how your mind works, your creativity. And so maybe you inspire them in more than just a creative way. Maybe it's like, I want to know this person's perspective of everything. You know, they may just want to kind of see how your mind works in general, how you respond to any given situation. That's interesting. I feel like this person takes a genuine interest in you. It almost feels like maybe this is the same person we saw before with that Four of Cups. Well, I feel like you would know best. You probably would be able to identify the characteristics, um, and maybe the the thoughts and feelings, the mindsets that are coming through might be helpful to help identify these people. Let's see what's underneath that Ace of Wands. The Emperor. If this is the same person as before, this person could be going through a glow up. It also feels like maybe they're thinking about creative ways to impress you. I don't know why that's coming through. But you showed up earlier as the Empress. This person feels like they're coming through as the Emperor. So this is somebody that is wanting to show up, on your level, in your frequency. They don't want to insult you by showing up as anything less than you deserve. So this is somebody that really values you. They could even be dreaming of coming in as the person that you need them to be. So if they're not quite there, maybe this is like their objective. It could be a continuation of that Four of Cups we saw earlier, because they were showing up earlier as the Page of Wands, which could be them feeling very insecure in comparison to you. But it's almost like the further they go on, and maybe once they establish that you are for real, you are who you say you are, then they're like full speed ahead. Like, I can step up to the plate. I can be who you need me to be. Whatever you want, my queen. I'm getting somebody literally kneeling down on one knee and saying that, whatever you want, my queen. I mean, I don't think that's a literal thing that this person's going to say to you, but that's really funny. But that kind of fits with how they see you, though. Is like you're royalty and you deserve to be treated as such. I kind of like that energy. Not gonna lie. Um, how interesting, though. Yeah. So it's almost like in order to put these fears to rest around is this person who they truly say they are, the Ace of Wands, they want to pick your brain a little bit and, yeah, maybe even navigate a conversation so they can learn more about how your brain works. And then once they see that you're authentic and that you are who you say you are, then it's like, hell yeah, I'm going to show up exactly the way you need me to be. So it's almost like this person has it in them to become an emperor very easily, but it's like they need to know that you're real first. But honestly, that makes a lot of sense with that Five of Pentacles experience, especially if that came out of nowhere. I feel really bad for that person. Damn. That's gotta be rough, especially if it was like a marriage or something. And then it just like randomly ends and you're just like, what? Damn. Okay. Okay. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Not very complicated. Very easy to read. Ooh, maybe that's part of why these intuitive downloads are coming through so clearly, is maybe that's an indication that this person is very authentic and shows up in a very uncomplicated way. And so maybe that's how you're going to know the difference between this person and maybe somebody that wants to play games. Yeah, because I think someone's energy can tell you a whole lot. And it's like if you're confused around somebody, I think that's an indication of like that person's either playing games with you or they're just not that serious about you. Um, so trust those feelings. Like if you feel like around this person that they, you know, it's like, okay, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know like what your aim is even. That probably isn't this person. But if you feel like, this person seems very genuine and authentic, they seem to be like who they say they are, that could be an indication that we're dealing with this person, or you're dealing with this person, I mean. Um, and maybe that's kind of how you differentiate between this person and someone else. And maybe that's kind of why I feel inclined to say that maybe this Four of Cups is the same person as this Two of Cups energy. And I almost feel like the Four of Cups could be more so this person at the beginning of getting to know each other. They may still have their boundaries up pretty strong. Then the further they go along, they may open up to you about more about themselves. And then they're like, okay, we actually genuinely have an authentic connection. And now we can, start dreaming about the future. Interesting. It's like a progression here. I like it. Let's go on to the Knight of Cups. Please and thank you, Spirit. Who is this person who is secretly admiring the collective? Please and thank you, Spirit. That Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups, baby. Knight of Cups. Knight of Cuppy, Cuppy, Cuppies. Yeah, yeah. Knight of the Cups. Knight of the Cups, though. Okay. Was that meant to come out in the reverse? How do people do that? Okay. I know some people will like drop the card to see like which direction it turns, but I feel like it's probably supposed to come out in the reverse like that. All right. So let's see. Clarifying that Knight of Cups, we have the Six of Cups. Queen, oh, okay. Getting downloads. Queen of Swords. I hope I'm not holding these cards too high and you can actually see what I'm holding up. Oh, I accidentally switched it. But it came out in the reverse. It's the Fool card in the reverse. And then bottom of the deck is the Four of Cups. So this is an interesting energy because I was just telling you about how you could differentiate between that person we were talking about and maybe somebody that wants to play games. But it also could be. So I feel like I'm picking up on two storylines. Either this Knight of Cups could be somebody that says they want a relationship or something romantic, but with the Fool card in the reverse, maybe ultimately they don't really maybe have what it takes in order to actually establish something like that. Or this could be somebody that you have a past with, which would indicate that, or would be a message with that Six of Cups. It could be somebody that you've already experienced to some extent, and this person has really good memories of you. But since you're coming out as the Queen of Swords, you probably have your guard up around this person, and that's probably for a reason. And then the Fool card in the reverse could be you being like, oh, hell no. And honestly, I respect that. I love that actually. That's kind of iconic. And it would make sense too with that Four of Cups at the bottom of the deck. It's like, you may have like sworn to yourself, like, ain't no way in hell I'm going to entertain that person after what they put me through. That is funny. I don't know why, but that's kind of funny to me because it's almost like, especially if this is somebody that's more of like a player or like somebody that plays mind games, they could be thinking that they're so convincing, or they have the exact nut. Oh yeah, this could be somebody that's really good with their words, a wordsmith, so to speak. And they may know like certain key words to use in terms of trying to manipulate you into giving them a chance. And it's like, like, while this person has nice feelings about you and memories about you, you on the other hand may see this person differently than how they see you. That's definitely something I'm picking up here. So either this is a person that's confusing as hell and may just kind of be speaking out their, you know what, out their bum. um, and may not have anything to actually back up the words they're saying. Or this person already put some sort of bad taste in your mouth and you're like, hell no. Also, if you're in that Queen of Swords energy, this person better be careful. Because the Queen of Swords doesn't mess around and she is so good at detecting lies. You cannot lie to a Queen of Swords. She will clock it, and she may not say anything in the moment. That's what makes her deadly, right? But she will perceive things, and she may not say anything in the moment, but she holds on to the truth and she searches for the truth. And like the thing is too with the Queen of Swords, it's like she probably values that. That's probably one of the most valued qualities in another person for the Queen of Swords is the truth. Like, I don't care if you're being, you know, a player, but be straight up about it, right? That's what the Queen of Swords wants. And maybe you can detect that this person's lying, or at the very least trying to pull at your heartstrings to get something out of you. And so you're just going to shut that down real quick. It may even shock this person. Especially like, this is so funny because I'm getting like this energy of somebody literally practicing what they're going to say in the mirror. And this person could be thinking, oh my gosh, is this person a narcissist? They could be. Because if that Six of Cups is like how they're viewing you, they have all these great memories of you. But maybe that's because you were doing something for them in some way, like either validating them or giving them a confidence boost or whatever. But from your perspective, you probably do not have good memories clearly of this person. And so, yeah, it's like a disconnection. Like you two are on different wavelengths here. And that, I don't know why, but that is so funny because I feel like this person's going to be like, oh, yeah, once I tell them this, this, and this, they'll be putty in my hands. Meanwhile, you're over here like, and you're like, I can smell lies. And they will not see that coming. That is so funny. But also, this Four of Cups at the bottom of the deck, this could be an example of why you're a better match to the person I was talking about before, because it does feel like a different energy here. I could be wrong. We could explore more of the bottom of the deck and maybe there's different energy. But as I see now, this could be a different energy. I'm inclined to say it is. But also, the Four of Cups at the bottom of the deck, I was saying how this person has, not this person, your other secret admirer, we were talking about with the Four of Cups, clarifying that earlier. I was saying how that person has standards, like maybe high standards. And I was thinking, maybe you do too, and that could make you compatible or a good fit for one another. And the Four of Cups being at the bottom of the deck, you having those boundaries up, you having those standards, it could be showing how you are more compatible with that other secret admirer compared to this secret admirer, if that makes sense. You definitely know your worth. I like that though. You're definitely not going to entertain anybody that you feel like doesn't make the cut. Literally with the Queen of Swords. Anyways, let's see what's underneath that Four of Cups. Page of Wands. If this is a different person, this could be an indication of immaturity. But like, do you see what I mean? How there's like that difference? Because with the Four of Cups that we were clarifying earlier, that person had like a pretty like understandable storyline that I was able to tap into pretty clearly. Whereas the cards that came out to clarify this Knight of Cups are telling a different story. It's almost complicated and maybe even slightly confusing to some extent. So it almost feels like this bottom of the deck energy with this context may not be indicating the same person it indicated earlier. This could be a representation of this Knight of Cups, and maybe part of the reason you are not here for this is because you know this person is incredibly immature. And maybe you know this through experience to some extent. Or simply by observing them, because the Queen of Swords is hella observant. Not much gets past the Queen of Swords. Yeah. I'm just going to see what's underneath that Page of Wands. Three of Swords. Somebody better give me a prize for being psychic. No, I'm kidding. But that's pretty fitting, pretty interesting at the very least. That it just so happens to line up with the storyline we're picking up on already. This person put a bad taste in your mouth, and maybe, I'm getting this storyline of maybe this is somebody that kind of kept you hanging for a period of time. Like somebody, that breadcrumbed you. It feels like somebody, it feels like a situationship that like never went anywhere, but maybe there was always this lingering feeling or energy of like, what if, or maybe someday, or yada yada yada. But eventually you probably just got so sick of that and you're like, I have value I am worth so much more than this game. Putting myself through this complicated situation and trying to figure out what this person wants and what it would take to get in connection with them. It's like you see them clearly now. And it's probably because of that Three of Swords experience with them. And it's kind of funny too, because the Three of Swords, that's pretty heavy energy, especially when it comes to heartbreak. Um, but it's kind of funny how the Page of Wands is over top of it. Almost like this person could even try to come in and pretend like they didn't hurt you, or, oh, I had no idea that that was hurtful for you. When it's like, how else would I respond to something like that? Somebody playing games with me. Um, but it's almost like there is a bit of confidence to the Page of Wands. So I really do think that I think that this person, at the very least, is very full of themselves. They may not be a full blown narcissist, but oh, this is so funny because it's like, again, it's just like the two of you are on completely different levels here. Like you're not in the same frequency, so it's like you're speaking two completely different languages, practically. But it's like they're gonna be so enthusiastic and thinking like, oh, I got it. I know I have this in the bag. Meanwhile, you're like, and they don't expect you to be like that. They don't expect you to be detached from your emotions. Yes, because they remember you as the Six of Cups. They have good memories of you being loving towards them. Maybe even slightly mothering to some extent. I don't know your past, but that could play a part. This could be somebody that's kind of spoiled. And so maybe they feel like they might be physically attracted to some extent where they're like, all I gotta do is give them the shoulder and they're all mine. And you're just like, really? But yeah, this person's gonna come in all enthusiastically, charismatically, and they're just like, there's no way the collective's gonna turn me down. And what do? You turn them down straight up. And maybe that's something that this person is not used to. Well, it's going to be a rude awakening for that person, that's for sure. But hey, stick to your guns, hold up those boundaries because you know what you're worth. And you're not worth somebody being confusing, playing games, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, I think that that is a separate person from the Four of Cups / Two of Cups that we saw earlier. Yeah. Okay, so now let's go on to the Five of Wands in the reverse and clarify that. Please and thank you, Spirit. Who is this person with the Five of Wands in the reverse who is secretly admiring the collective? Please and thank you with that Five of Wands in the reverse energy. Okay, so far I might try and see if more comes out, but Five of Wands in the reverse, so somebody may want to kind of put some sort of conflict between the two of you. Miscommunication for some reason also feels like a thing. So either it's a miscommunication or some sort of conflict or both. They want to put that to rest with you. And then what was clarifying that Five of Wands in the reverse, we have the Ten of Pentacles, the Star card. Also, the Fool card, I think that's Aries, and it might be something else as well. I should look that up. But the Star card here is Aquarius. But then the bottom of the deck is the Two of Pentacles. I don't like this energy. And on the face of it, if I wasn't listening to my intuition right now, I would see Five of Wands in the reverse. Somebody that wants to put some sort of conflict to rest. Okay, like that seems like a good thing to do, right? Positive. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles and Star card. That could be perceived as a very positive situation. But maybe it's something to do with that Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, or just simply my intuition telling me that that's not the story here. Because I'm picking up on a story where, yeah, and this feels like it may be different from that Knight of Cups we saw earlier, or that we just clarified. It may be a different person, or maybe it's the same person, depending on how well you know that Knight of Cups. But this feels like the Five of Wands in the reverse now almost feels like condescending, or this feels gaslighty. It feels almost like someone here may even be downplaying the severity of some sort of conflict with you. And they're simply trying to come in as if it wasn't really that big of a deal in the first place. Oh, you should forgive me. That wasn't that big of a deal. Yada, yada, yada. Whereas on your side, this could have been something traumatic. I don't know why I'm picking that up, because I usually see the Five of Wands as a more lighter sort of conflict compared to the Five of Swords. But it feels almost like this is from their perspective. They're like, well, what's the big deal? Just forgive me. Let's get back together. Because that's where I was going next, is this Ten of Pentacles feels like this is somebody that you built a home with at one point, potentially. Or maybe it was just a very significant connection that you had planted your roots in, and you thought that it was going to maybe stand the test of time. At one point, it may have been a very ideal situation, even. But that quickly changed, or eventually that changed. And something happened here that I feel like traumatized you. But this person's going to play it off like, oh, everybody makes mistakes. You should just be able to forgive me. And we should go back to how we were. Like, it's almost like, let's gloss over that traumatic experience I put you through, because it makes me uncomfortable. And let's focus on what can be. Because that Ten of Pentacles almost feels like idyllic, in the way of like, well, if we get together, we can build this, all of this wonderful stability. We can create a home that is, stable, secure, abundant. But it almost feels like superficial, because the Star card, I feel like you're coming into some sort of success here, and you're standing out in a way that is very special. Like, you are not somebody that this person meets every day, and they know that. But I'm almost thinking this person may hope that you don't know that, though. And maybe you didn't in the past when you were entertaining this person, and now they see you glow up. And now that you're coming into success, they kind of want to mooch off of that. It feels superficial. It's like this person's only coming in because they see that you're successful, you're building something here, creating a lot of abundance and stability and security within yourself and in your life. It's like you're establishing this Ten of Pentacles elsewhere, and this person may want a piece of that. And that Star card, you're standing out in a big way. You've done a lot of healing with that Star card, probably from what this person put you through. I honestly even feel like that trauma could have been like the catalyst that brought you towards your spirituality. Maybe you leaned on your spirituality heavily during that healing period of trying to bounce back from that. And so suddenly this person from the past is like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Um, but I still have feelings for you. And I miss what we had, and we should, make that work again. Just forgive me. And you're just like, I think you're completely on a different plane of existence with the Star card and Ten of Pentacles. I feel like you're coming into a lot of success, and this feels like self-made success. You could also be gaining a lot of attention, maybe because of that success or something unrelated. Could be your beauty, or maybe you just have that sort of spiritual glow about you that stands out. Um, Especially once you heal, you're very attractive, that's just kind of the natural rhythm of it. Because you start to, build up that self-worth. You start to value yourself and recognize and go according to that value that you've already established within yourself. I think you've become very unshakable, and you're completely different from what this person remembers you as. Because I think this person may have taken advantage of the fact that maybe at one point you were very insecure. And now you've bossed up, you've grown up on this person, and now they're like, give me a piece of that. It almost feels like they feel almost entitled to your success. I don't like this person's energy. It almost even feels like a superficial secret admirer to an extent. Because it's like they're not really, it doesn't really feel like their heart is in it. It feels like, okay, what can this give me? What can I take from this? But the thing is, like I said, you're on a completely different wavelength here. And you may even laugh, especially because they're trying to downplay the shit they put you through. You may actually cackle if this person tries to reach out to you to try and gloss over the past or get you to forgive them for something very significant that you went through. And you have so much going on for you with that Ten of Pentacles to Star card. So you have options. You know that you deserve way better than whatever that person has to even offer. Even if that person changed their life around and now they're stable and abundant and, all these great things. Even if this person showed up in their best possible form, I feel like you're just on to bigger and better things because you know what you have working for you. You know what you have going. You know what you have going for yourself. And it's like, why would I even entertain the possibility of forgiving you? Why would I even? And I guess I'm kind of like a little bit more of like, I'm on the fence about forgiveness when it comes to the traumas that people put us through. Because I find forgiveness to be something that someone should kind of earn. Because it's like, what's the point of forgiving somebody if they just keep going out there doing the same thing to everyone and destroying lives or whatever? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that personally. But I know some people are like, you have to forgive people in order to move on. I don't know if that's really necessary all the time. Maybe for some people, but maybe it's like a case by case basis. So, it's really up to you if you want to forgive this person. Not saying that you have to take them back. Absolutely not. But if you want to forgive them, that could be a thing. But it's almost like this person sees forgiveness as, okay, then let me back into your life if you forgive me. And you're just like, nah. You don't see this as even like worth entertaining the idea of it. Because you just like, you're so like, yeah, you have your mind and spirit, everything in your life focused on everything, like, completely different direction, completely different energies. It has nothing to do with your past and everything to do with your future. So it's like, why would I consciously pull myself back in life or hold myself back in life or go back to the past after learning my lesson. Weird. And then the Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. I was kind of getting this with the Two of Pentacles, I was kind of picking up on this person kind of being like, well, what can I take out of this situation? They may even try to kind of like say they're on your side or they're on your team or that they support you or they've always supported you. Maybe that was something, or maybe that's something that this person wants to say, to kind of pull at your heartstrings. But it's interesting, the Star card, because we saw the Queen of Swords earlier. Air sign energy. Aquarius is an air sign. So even though the Star card, has a lot to do with being spiritual, very healed, it's an air sign energy. So if you want to let this person have it verbally, I think you're more than willing to dish it out to this person. But because you're healed and you're focused on your spiritual growth and other things, you may simply find it like not even worth responding to. Because you're like, nah, that'll just put me in a lower vibration and then it will distract me from my work. So I'm just going to ignore the message altogether. That's kind of what I feel. But the Two of Pentacles, it almost feels like they're going to try and be like, I'm on your side. And I'm like, I've always supported you, even when we were separated. I always wish the best for you. But there's like a shallowness, like a superficial film on top of something here. I'm gonna be so for real. Like, this feels like somebody that may not be able to kind of grow and change in the ways that you need somebody to grow and change. And I feel like you kind of already know that. You maybe even be slightly psychic with that Star card. And maybe you can kind of read everything you need to read about the situation simply by looking at a message, or whatever, or feeling out this person's energy. You can maybe detect that because, like I said earlier, Queen of Swords, lie detector. Star card representing Aquarius, an air sign. You're probably a good lie detector. Nothing gets past you. Let's see what's underneath that Two of Pentacles. The Emperor. See, like, now with this context, this Emperor almost feels like who they want to be or who they're going to try to act like they are. It feels like a false emperor with this context and what I'm feeling. So they may try to show up and act like they're the emperor. So maybe this will kind of call upon your intuition to kind of gauge whether or not this person truly is who they say they are, or, that they've healed themselves to that extent, or they've worked on themselves to the extent of becoming the emperor, which I feel like is highly unlikely given the context here. I'm curious what's underneath. Ace of Wands. It's just so interesting how I can see these cards with a different context and get completely different messages than what I had before. Because now this Ace of Wands is like nothing like I saw earlier. In this context, it almost feels like this person, well, for one, they may just want some hanky-panky from you. That could definitely be a thing. Maybe that's part of why they want to heal things. But also, the clouds too. It's like they may try to pull like, oh, I've been thinking about you, so worried about you, you've always been on my mind, this amount of time that we've been, apart. But it feels like this person wasn't even there when you were at your lowest. So it's like, I don't know about that. And it also feels like They may try to be like, especially if you're coming to into some sort of success for your skills and talents, abilities, you're creating a name for yourself or whatever, some sort of stability. They may try to be like, "Oh, I always believed you could." And it's like, if you truly felt that way, then why'd you treat me like that in the past? Oh my gosh, I just got a download of something that would be something that a narcissist would say, where it's like, and maybe that's what that emperor is indicating. This one could actually be a narcissist. But again, I shouldn't be trying to medically diagnose anyone here based off of like a few cards on a tarot reading, right? But with that emperor context and the message I was getting, they may even try to take partial credit for the things you have now. Like, where would you be without me? Or like, they may kind of try to assert that they were such a big part of your life that maybe you're not, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like such a twisted mentality, but it's like they almost want to say like you wouldn't be here without experiencing me. Like if I didn't put you through hell, you wouldn't have been able to heal and level up and all that. It's like how delusional can you be? But that's kind of that false emperor energy. They want to control the situation. They want to manipulate this situation. They want to try and act like their presence in your life may have been a bigger deal than it was, or more positive of an experience than it actually was. Interesting. But again, listening to your intuition, I feel like you're going to see all that you need to see pretty much with that one. And you got so much going on for yourself. This feels like a side note that you're probably coming into some sort of success here, or at least you're going to be seen as being very successful, standing out in a big way, making a name for yourself. So, like I said earlier, you may be completely distracted with a bunch of things you have going on for yourself. Uh, you're trying not to get distracted. You're just like trying to block out any sort of nonsense, especially people from the past trying to scoot their way in here. So, I think you're good. I don't think you have much to worry about there, and it may even give you a laugh. um, okay, let's go into the King of Pentacles now. Please and thank you, Spirit. Who is this person that is secretly admiring the collective with that King of Pentacles energy? Please and thank you, Spirit. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I think that's all the ones that flipped over. Now let's see what we are working with here. What we working with here? Okay, interesting. So clarifying this page, not page, um, this King of Pentacles. Okay. Yeah, clarifying this King of Pentacles, we have the Ace of Swords, Knight of Wands, Queen of Cups, Two of Swords, Justice, and then we have Ace of Wands, and then bottom of the deck, we have King of Wands. Okay. So I'm getting a better energy again, and I feel like it could be possible that this is the first person we were tapping into, the good one, the good secret admirer energy. Or it could be just simply another really good option here. Somebody that's very mature and very stable. But that kind of gives me that energy of like that Four of Cups to Two of Cups person we were tapping into earlier, because that person felt very mature. And it almost feels like I'm getting a clearer storyline here. So maybe this is somebody that's a little bit more transparent, easy to understand, not somebody with a hidden agenda. But it's interesting because we have the Ace of Swords, and that can be like an illumination or a conversation or a truth, something to kind of shed light upon information or thoughts or conversation. And then Knight of Wands after that, it's like maybe this person wants to kind of be flirtatious. You know, the Knight of Wands gets a bad reputation for being a player, but I don't think it always indicates that. Because people can be really charismatic and seem like they're, you know, only in it for the short term, but that can also be our perception of things. You know, kind of painting that, you know, painting things that way. And especially with the other cards that came out, because it's almost like, you know, the King of Pentacles, if you think about it, this is somebody that's probably professional, takes a lot of pride in being professional, being seen as mature, stable, secure, like where they're at in life. And so sometimes they may kind of come across as a little bit serious and maybe even slightly closed off when it comes to emotions. So this Ace of Swords to Knight of Wands energy could be them trying to come in to indicate some sort of truth to you, illuminate something that you may not know. And they kind of want to be playful about it, flirtatious about it. Like they kind of like, it feels like they want to let you know like the reason why they want to have this conversation. And they may kind of indicate this through maybe compliments or their body language or like the energy that they give off is like very flirtatious, like, hey, this is actually me coming on to you, or me hitting on you, or me expressing my feelings to you. It's like I feel like you're going to pick up on the vibes there, especially with the Queen of Cups following that, which, to be honest, this could be an energy that the both of you kind of embody. Like this person could be becoming a more emotionally vulnerable if they haven't been in the past. And maybe this is because you are very emotionally vulnerable and mature. And so this person may feel like, okay, I need to match the collective's energy so that they can tell that I'm taking them seriously. So they may kind of come in like a little bit of a flirtatious way, sharing some truths about maybe how they feel about you, how they admire you, how they, I think they think you're very attractive, but it's not just that. They really like your energy, your vibe, your heart. But the Queen of Cups can also be very intuitive. So I feel like you're going to pick up some vibes from this person through the way that they kind of show up here. And then the Two of Swords follows that. But sometimes the Two of Swords shows up when we need to move out of our comfort zone. Like, sure, something may be difficult, you know, to make your mind up about if you're very attached to your comfort zone. So, say for instance, this is somebody that wants to ask you out on a date. But maybe you haven't been on a date in a really long time. You may even forget how to date or, you know, the proper process even of like dating. And so maybe you're very conflicted of like, okay, like, do I want to go on this date or do I not? And maybe your comfort zone is not gonna lie, this is gonna be me calling myself out for a little bit. You know, maybe your comfort zone is more like I'm gonna stay inside and eat some chips and watch Netflix. Hypothetically. um, but yeah, I'm just kind of goofing around. But obviously, it doesn't have to be that exact example of like what your comfort zone is. But maybe you're way more comfortable not going on that date than you are putting yourself out there, even if you feel some sort of connection with this person romantically through your emotions. Like, even if it is a great option, you may still kind of be like, oh, I don't know. I feel like there's a sense of like your nerves getting to you, maybe, or your thoughts. You may overthink the situation, and maybe that's a clue here that spirit kind of wants you to try your best to not be so head focused or thoughts focused and the confusion that's happening up here. Instead, trust your intuition, trust your gut, because also after that Two of Swords is the Justice card. And it's interesting because that Two of Swords before that Justice card, you have two paths to choose between. And then the Justice card, she's holding up two scales that are equal. So in terms of, a message of reassurance from spirit here, I almost feel like you can't go wrong in this situation. Actually, that kind of makes sense with who we're talking about because we're clarifying the King of Pentacles. So even if you do turn them down for this first date, maybe this is somebody that's, willing to stick around and get to know you until you are comfortable enough to go on a date with them. I like that. And that Justice card could be here to kind of say, even if you choose to stay at home watching Netflix, that's okay. And like, simply, it's just up to you what you feel like you're most drawn to do. If you feel like you're ready for that date, go for it. It will turn out good. If you feel like, I'm not quite ready yet, I don't really know this person that well, take a step back, maybe get to know this person a little bit more first, and that's also going to work out for you. So if you are somebody that overthinks, I feel like Spirit's here to kind of reassure you that it almost feels like you've reached a point in your good karma where it's like you can't really mess it up. You can't really do the wrong thing here, especially because you're in that right vibration, you're in that right mindset. You've healed yourself to a certain extent. So I don't think you're attracting, the same sorts of connections that you may have attracted in the past. The Ace of Wands coming after the Justice card, that's interesting to me. It almost feels like maybe you're thrown off because this is something you manifested. So either you manifested this specific person potentially, or you manifested somebody that's like this person. So you weren't really sure of who you were going to attract. You just wanted somebody like this person to come towards you. And so maybe now you're connecting the dots and you're like, damn, this could be the person that I've manifested. And so that kind of adds a whole nother layer of like being overwhelmed. And maybe you kind of have to take a moment to kind of sit there and be like, is this real life? Did I really manifest this person into my life? Is this like a reward or something from the universe that I didn't see coming? Like because it could be coming in when you least expect it. Sometimes our manifestations do that. And so hell, maybe it like even gives you a sense of like, damn, I'm more powerful than I thought. And maybe that's a little bit scary when you recognize how powerful you truly are, how truly tapped in you are to the divine. this feels really cool because it's like no matter which way you go, I feel like you're going to make the right decision. Spirit has your back here. The Ace of Wands is just like you feeling powerful. You know, at the very least, with the Ace of Wands, I feel like you're going to feel very confident about, like, you know, I'm still attractive. I'm still able to reel in some real good ones here, you know, kind of like, so at the very least, it could be a little bit of an ego boost. Um, but I don't really see you being somebody that really goes overboard with the ego. I think you're probably somebody that's very reasonable about, you know, doing your best to kind of keep that at bay, um, staying humble and whatnot. But I think this situation, even if you don't choose to like go on this date or whatever this person wants with you still can kind of sit back and look at it objectively and be like, I manifested that person, or I manifested somebody like this person. That's crazy. So even if this person isn't even your type, or you decide ultimately, nah, this person ain't it, that Ace of Wands energy feels like now you know what you're capable of and how you can manifest what you want. And so the world is your oyster. And so you're going to feel hella confident about yourself, not just about being attractive, but recognizing how powerful you are in terms of being a manifester. That's kind of crazy. I like that energy though. So, like, at the very least, this will give you confidence in manifesting more things in the future, whether it's with this person or not. But I do feel like this could be either a new person that's not that Four of Cups / Two of Cups we saw earlier. It's possible that it's somebody else that's also a really good option for you. But I'm sort of inclined to say that I think it is that Four of Cups, Two of Cups person we saw earlier, because the energy feels very similar. This is somebody that is stable, mature, grounded, not doing too much, even though that nine of, or not nine, that Knight of Wands is here, which may give a little bit of like an impulsive energy with the Ace of Swords, the Justice, the Queen of Cups. I feel like this person may have moments of being impulsive, but ultimately they're based in logic to some extent, I feel. And they may be intuitive too. So maybe if they're picking up on the vibes that you're just not into them, they may not go all the way with what they want to ask you or say to you. You know, this person may be intuitive and pick up on that. But honestly, that's really cool. So this could be somebody different or that person we saw earlier. And either way, it seems like they're a good option because it's like spirits, like no matter who you choose, what you choose, you can't go wrong. As long as you're trusting your intuition, your gut feeling, though, because the Justice card didn't show up for that Knight of Cups and it didn't show up for that Five of Wands in the reverse. Those other energies, I feel like, are the red flags you might have to look out for. But I think you got this because you're hella intuitive. I think that you're way more tapped into the divine than you even recognize at this point, until you like come into a manifestation and you're able to be like, I did that. That's going to make you feel so good. Um, Also, Justice card, that's major for Libra. Um, so good energy though. So you have another option or the same option as before. Um, Maybe just this person's finally getting the courage up to ask you out or something. Um, or at the very least, flirt with you in a way that's very significant and noticeable. Bottom of the deck, the King of Wands. This feels like it could be this King of Pentacles energy, which would make sense if they are the Emperor, because the Emperor is the combination of all the kings, you know, and the Empress is the combination of all the queens. So if this person is a true Emperor, they're going to be embodying all the different kings and their qualities. So maybe this is kind of why they're entering this Knight of Wands energy to act upon this, because maybe they're trying to embody more so this King of Wands energy Because yeah, because if they're always embodying that King of Pentacles energy, that's more of like such a stable, secure kind of like, I'm here ready for whatever that may come my way. Um, Whereas the King of Wands is a go-getter. Like the King of Wands is like, okay, I've established what I want. I'm going to go for it. They're also very confident, very charismatic. And so maybe they're going to kind of turn on the charm for you. And that's kind of what they want to embody in this situation, because it feels like they're trying to get up the courage to ask you out or flirt with you or something here. Express themselves, maybe. Um, Interesting. Even if it's not the same person from before, it could be this King of Pentacles just trying to embody more of that flirtatious go-getter energy. And what's underneath that King of Wands? Three of Swords. See, now I'm getting with that Three of Swords the sensation that maybe that Three of Swords is kind of why you might overthink something here with that Two of Swords we saw earlier. Like maybe the reason you're in that Two of Swords energy of being like, oh, I don't know, is because you've been really hurt in the past with that Three of Swords. We saw that in reference to the Knight of Cups that we saw earlier. So maybe it's lingering effects of what that Knight of Cups put you through, or simply just anyone from your past put you through. And so even if you're manifesting the ideal person and they come towards you, you may have that moment of panic of like, what if this person's just like the rest of them? And I feel like Spirit wants to reassure you that this person is not like the rest of them. But maybe you're not quite sure, and you may not know at this point in your getting to know each other or whatever. So maybe that's part of your hesitancy, is like, I've been hurt, dude. I don't know if I can trust you. So maybe it is something like where you just kind of need to get to know this person a little bit more before you pursue something a little bit more serious, perhaps, or take it to another level, such as going on a date with them or something. You may kind of want to talk to this person, maybe through messages before something like face to face. That could maybe help you kind of ease into it. I'm just curious what's underneath that Three of Swords. Page of Wands. So it feels like ultimately you do kind of want to be optimistic when it comes to this person, because I think you can sense that they're genuine. Yeah, like again, through your intuition, you're going to be able to sense that. The Page of Wands, like I said earlier, kind of gives me this regenerative renewal energy, like the person you pop out of a transformation, like a spiritual spiritual transformation. You pop out the other side as the Page of Wands, optimistic, ready to go for it. So maybe when you kind of reflect upon this, you eventually do jump into this Page of Wands energy where you're like, you know what? I'll just go for it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? And I think that's inspiring. Like the Page of Wands. So yeah, like it could even be that this is somebody newer that you haven't dated. And so it's going to be scary, but it may also be very rewarding. Because this person could be like the opposite of who you've dealt with in the past. I'm curious what's underneath that Page of Wands. I'm so nosy. Four of Cups. You have your standards. You want to make sure that this person is in accordance to those standards. Maybe you want to kind of test this person in terms of like, does this person respect my boundaries? If I'm strict with my boundaries, is this person going to take offense to that? Is this person going to react to that in a way that tells me that they're not as healthy as I think they are? Six of Pentacles underneath that Four of Cups. So yeah, it's like because you've established these boundaries, you've established, your standards for yourself, and you're living in accordance with that, it feels like that Six of Pentacles is indicating that now you are in that vibration, that, energy to attract someone that is actually a reciprocal sort of situation, somebody that gives just as much as you give. And so I think you finally have the real deal here. And that could be quite overwhelming and almost unexpected, because you've dealt with a lot of crummy people from the looks of it in your past. So at first you may think, oh no, this person might be just like my exes, but not necessarily. It feels like this is who your exes thought they were. This is the type of person that actually is that person that looks too good to be true potentially. But then the more you get to know them, you're like, oh damn, cool, this actually is real. This is actually who they are. And then we have the Page of Wands at the bottom of this deck. So I feel like Spirit is kind of encouraging you to embody this energy of being open-minded. Sometimes I even see the Page of Wands as being like that person, like our inner child, or, who we were in terms of love or romance, who we were before bad experiences traumatized us, right? And became, reasons to mistrust others. Like the Page of Wands, sometimes I see as like, our younger selves before the world really got to us, before things were scary. And so you just go for things if you're in that sort of energy of like that kid like optimism, enthusiasm. You're just going to go for the things that you want because you don't have that same fear. And so I feel like Spirit kind of wants you to embody that, and some good things could come out as a result of embodying that energy. But of course, only do that with people that you intuitively feel are real and are worthy of you embodying that sort of vulnerability. But yeah, if you're getting some good vibes from somebody and you see like a lot of green flags, maybe just go with it. See where it goes. Also, the Page of Wands is like not like super grown, and it's not very like developed. So it's like it's a little bit more lighthearted of energy, in my opinion. So it's like you can just explore it. What's the worst thing that could happen if you explore it and you're deciding, okay, like this person's great, let's go further, or yeah, this person just isn't what I'm looking for, so I'm a bounce. Like it's less pressure is what I want to say here. So you don't have to put too much pressure on yourself at the same time. Let's see what's underneath that Page of Wands. Six of Swords. So that's a good sign of talking about you're leaving the flames and the chaos in the past and you're going towards calmer tides, probably better options too. Also better mental health if that's something you've been struggling with. I want to see what's underneath that Six of Wands, or Six of Swords, sorry. Eight of Pentacles. Something related to your work. So either you're meeting somebody through your work, or your work is standing out in a big way, and it could help maybe impact how you feel about yourself. Maybe it gives you a confidence boost, or you're being seen as very skilled. I'm curious what's underneath that. Ten of Swords. Yeah, a lot of pain, painful ending. Maybe the bad people from your past. I hate to say bad people because I don't like looking at people like in that black and white sort of energy. But the people that kind of hurt you, maybe it brings up the feelings of like that painful ending that you had with these people, and it kind of freshens that wound. Let's see what's underneath that Ten of Swords. Eight of Wands. That could be forward movement, positive forward movement, or some exciting communication. Could it be in relation to this painful period coming to an end? Could also be a communication about your work here. I just love to explore the bottom of the deck because it's like, oh, where's it gonna go? So the Eight of Wands, underneath that is the Seven of Cups. So it feels like you could be coming into a time of receiving communication about many opportunities, many options here in terms of your career or love. I'm going to look underneath it. I just can't help myself. The Hierophant. Ooh, I like that because in terms of career, you're going to be seen as super skillful and somebody that knows what they're talking about, somebody that's taken seriously, you're respected for your position. Um, and then in terms of a relationship, this is a good indication of like you could be attracting somebody that will be your forever person if that's something you want. Like that more traditional sort of commitment, long-term commitment, either marriage or something like that, if that's something that you wish to have. Okay, cool. Let's break out the oracle. I'm surprised my phone is still alive at this point. I don't even know how long this has been going on for. I feel like I've been talking for hours. I'm so sorry. But it's just so good. I love diving deep into these readings. Like, I can't help myself. I just get so wrapped up in it. I love to do them. I just love to do them, especially these longer readings. I don't know what it is about them, but I just love to just like dive into it and kind of look at all the nitty gritty detail. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm nosy. I like seeing what's, in other people's business. Okay. I'm joking, but yeah. Well, not when it comes to tarot, though. I'm pretty nosy when it comes to tarot. Anyways, so Oracle, we have Cup of Tea. This represents patience and reassessment. I think that you've been very patient. We saw that Strength card earlier. The Star card, I think, has a decent amount of patience to it in terms of like that healing process. Justice card, sometimes it takes patience to receive justice. I feel like the Empress especially would be a very patient person. And then reassessment. This feels like reflective mode. And that feels like when you're in that Two of Swords energy, when somebody comes towards you to express themselves or to ask you on a date or whatever, and you're kind of like needing to maybe take a step back before you answer fully or make a decision. And that reassessment feels like reflection. You're going to take a step back and try to look at it objectively, like, okay, does this person have any red flags that are immediately noticeable? Maybe how is my trauma playing a part in all of this and maybe causing a little bit of fear here. So I feel like that's just a good indication to, if you need it, take a step back, ground yourself, tap into that intuition, and reassess any situation that may not feel right or maybe triggers you. And either you're going to realize, oh, it's just fear, or maybe there's something there to, consider. But it feels very peaceful and calm. So I don't really think you have much to worry about there. And then we have buds. This design, I'm like so confused if this is a design or maybe tree sap. Because and during the summertime, I like to do cards outside, and sometimes like the pine sap gets on my stuff. So I'm so curious, like if this is just part of the design. I have a feeling it might just be tree sap. But anyways, we have buds here, and this represents new beginnings and expansion. See, so it's like new beginnings here. There could be something really beautiful here that you're growing or that you're beginning with somebody. And expansion, I think you're going to be expanding, maybe not just in love, but maybe career opportunities as well. So even though you're just starting out, it seems like these things that you're starting out in are very promising for you. And I feel like something is shifting here. You're coming into a lot of blessings and more positive experiences because you're in the right vibration. You've done that internal work. Feels like you're in alignment to it. So it's only natural that it would flow into your life like that. And then bottom of the deck, we have roots, and that represents healthy patterns and early growth. How fitting is that? So oh my gosh, healthy patterns. I think that if you're pursuing some sort of connection here, you're going to recognize the healthy patterns, like all of the green flags of this person. You know, you're probably even going to be very like particular, and you're going to be very mindful of every little thing this person does, very observant. So you're like, while you're like, okay, where are the red flags? Maybe all you see are just green flags, and you're just like, where's those red flags though? Because you're like not trusting it quite all the way. But you may be happily surprised that somebody here has some really healthy patterns. Also, early growth, that kind of talks to me about like that sense of something being very significant before it gets the chance to grow. So I almost feel like, in reference to that Four of Cups slash Two of Cups person we saw earlier, that felt like you're already sensing a connection with somebody that you may not know super well already. But it may be very promising here because maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's spiritually significant. Maybe the two of you share some sort of special spiritual connection here that is very important and very healthy, and actually can take you places and take you where you need to, or where you want to be in terms of a relationship. I also like to point out that there's two skulls here under the ground, and that, you know, in a gothic sort of way is pretty romantic. It's like you're together forever, truly. Like you ain't going nowheres, neither of you. This could be a forever person. We saw the Hierophant at the end, at the bottom of one of the decks. And so, in terms of long-term connections, you may be aligning yourself to that forever person. I'm just saying. That's pretty cool. So that is the reading. I really hope that you enjoyed this. I know I did, as you can probably tell by how long this video is. But anyways, that is the reading. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that it resonated. If it did resonate, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you subscribe, you can become a part of the Hive Collective, because my name is Bee. Bees live in hives, and you can become an honorary bee like me, and we can be a little bee family together. And if you like my readings and you'd like to see more, be sure to click that bell icon down below so that YouTube actually notifies you the next time they upload. And thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.